But that is why.
No, but when they do it, they go to the farm, they climb the hills, they trek a long distance. Okay, they don't stay in any conditioned office.
Yes.
And all that. So they get burned out.
Those days, there is no dull moment. There is nothing like sedentary kind of lifestyle. Somebody sitting in an office for 4 hours, 6 hours.
No.
Doing what?
When he's done eating that, he goes to the farm and does some farm work.
What very, very hard. Sweat and all of these things is burnt out.
Now you come.
You know, but because we are beginning to pamper into the influence of civilization, a whole lot has changed since then. So, the truth must be told that we don't have to indulge in such practices because they will become hydrogenated. And when they find their way inside of your body, right inside of the blood vessels, they begin to clot it, resulting to what we call atherosclerosis. This atherosclerosis tends to slow down the flow of blood. It's a different thing altogether. So we won't go into that. And then we also have, like I rightly said before, the poly and then the mono unsaturated fatty. These ones are wonderful. For example, there was a time I was teaching somewhere in Imo State, Abia, presently now, Mary's brother juniorate in particular. I lived in a village called Obiago, and I watched the way they process their part. It wasn't like what we do in the part of Udi, where I come from. There's a whole lot of local separation. They remove what is called ekete. You know, when they boil it, they put it in a big mortar. It's either you pound it or somebody climbs right inside of it and match it and put water, stir it up. The oil comes up and the old woman or whoever collects it, put it right inside of the pot and then subject it under heavy temperature. And the thing will boil and separate. They use a kind of, not a tall one, they will cut it. And somehow there is a way, they have the skill of, you know, pressing it so that the thing will be flat. Oil. Today, we don't do things like that. You know, I don't know where this generation is going to. A whole lot of things has replaced the normal thing. Look at the oil we have today. You touch it, you notice rancidity. You touch it, you notice rancidity.
It's called civilization.
You know, it's up. You know, I'm not surprised why people are falling sick here and there. I haven't finished in that area. And so, a human being, you have skeleton right inside of you, which is bone, right? So you have water. Put all of these things together, you are going for good health and longevity. So, that is what we could call a healthy diet. Anything outside of this is a mixture of what is
healed. Are you healthy? And if you are healthy, are you healed?
I don't really know where you are watching these broadcasts. I think it's going to be a game changer if you take time to listen, because I'm choosing my words. Healing and staying healthy, they are not the same thing. The disparity is huge. When we talk about healing, see recovery measure provided by God. When people, through neglect, for emphasis, through neglect of health laws and for some other reasons, they can become sick. And when they become, well, they ought to look to God, because God is our healer. In fact, I am a Christian. And I don't mix words when I want to tell you that I'm a Christian. Practical one by the special grace of God. So, if you go to the book of Mark, reading from the 5th chapter, coming down to verse 41, down to verse 43, Jesus came to the house of Jairus, because it was reported that a young lad that was 12 died. There was no hope to life. The lady jacked, sneezed, and came back to life. And Jesus turned to the father and the mother and said, give her something to eat. What do you deduce from this? Number one, healing absolutely belongs to God. But to sustain and to maintain the healing is your own responsibility. To be responsibility. When you are healed, you take responsibility.
To stay healthy.
To some time, in some cases, God may likely allow you to go through the medicals. The sick should go to the doctors. To the place of what? Health. But do you know what? The amazing and the surprising thing is that you don't even need a doctor to stay healthy. You don't need a doctor to stay healthy. The other day, Apostle Paul was traveling, going to Damascus, and the Lord stopped him on the road. He became blind. And the Lord spoke to Ananias, say, go to this man. By the time Ananias came and laid hands on him, scare went out of his eyes. Immediately he could see. The very first thing that happened is that there was a transfusion of hunger into his DNA that activated to his sensory perception that for 3 days I haven't eaten.
He didn't realize he had not eaten.
He realized he has not eaten.
He was hungry.
He was hungry. Immediately the Bible says he took food, and when he ate, he was strengthened. In other words, food carries anointing to give you strength. Food gives you energy. And so, when you come to the place of health, you know what to do?
No.
Because health is a conglomeration of several practices. Nobody can give you that. Your wife can't even give you that. Your children can't even give you that. If it is a conglomeration of several, brings in there proper dieting, exercise. Your doctor cannot exercise for you.
Yeah.
It's you who will do that. I can suggest to you you should eat. But if you like to eat, you eat.
If you don't like you.
If you don't like, you stay.
Yes,
Doctor can help you. Read Mark chapter 31. Jesus, man and spirit. While he was doing his work, he said to the disciples, come, let's go to the other side. We need to rest. Listen to me. If you refuse to rest, you will be laid to rest. And people will come back and say, rest in peace. Rest is very body takes over. Begin to repair, renew, and replace. A whole lot of begin to come low. The cortisol begin to come low. And the entire system begin to get back again. Not only that, you need to understand when to stop work. A lot of people want to. There's no way you can finish it. That is why you must plan an inroad for so many other things to come in. So you must learn to rest. Nobody can rest for you. Your doctor can't rest for you. It is you who will do it. So you don't need doctor. You don't need anybody if you really want to be healthy. Not only that, your relationship with human beings and God is very, very important. But do you know, in all of these things, food primarily determines how healthy you will become. Do you know why?
No.
The reason is that the sum total of our health is the function of what you eat and what you drink. And if you don't make conscious effort to understand your physical body relationship with the articles of what you buy and eat, you may be on your way to the grave. Now that we are pampering into the influence of civilization, greens and all of that, nobody cook and eat it 2 times the next day. You cook and you finish it. The fridge is there. I have nothing against fridge, but we should understand what fridge is. Fridge is simply a preservative. Something that will help you to extend the shelf life of whatever you put in there, that all to decay if it is not put in such environment. But today, most people, before they take water, they have to touch it. If it is not cold, they won't take it. Which kind of lifestyle is this? Apart from that, we have a lot of eateries around us there. 5G life. That is where we are today. Microwave type of life. And it is showing. But this is like my way of sounding warning to whoever that cares. If this health and life is your own, you really have to rise up and take responsibility.
Okay, we shouldn't take a short break, but before we do that, I just want you to speak to this issue. What happens to our health? What exactly happens to our health when our diet is faulty? When you have a faulty diet, what happens to our health?
I'm becoming emotional now.
That have to be. That have to be.
But this didn't work. I'm choosing my word. When your diet is faulty, it is an insidious. I use the word insidious. Something that is secretly stealing from you and you don't know. Faulty nutrition is insidious and unrecognized. In fact, that word insidious is being described by the world, stealing from us, something that is harmful to mankind. The way you are made is just the way the food you ought to eat is made. Let me even go a little bit to the scriptures and then back it up with science. If you go to the Bible in Genesis, the 1st chapter and 11th verse, the Bible tells us the plant kingdom came. What man we eat is they just come from the same, they just come from the same environment. And scientifically, when this thing is looked upon, we discover that man